Tuning in to Exeter TV. The meeting will be starting shortly. While we wait, let's learn more about Exeter TV. Exeter TV is the town's public and government access channels, available on Comcast channels 98 and 22. Channel 98 is your channel. If you have an idea for a program, want to host your own talk show, or submit a film, we're here to get your content on television. On Channel 22, we bring you live and replay coverage of government meetings and other town updates. A third channel, Blue Hawk Media, is operated by SAU 16 and can be found on Channel 13, with all your school sports, events, and meetings. You can watch Exeter TV online at exeternh.tv, Apple TV, and on Roku. Find us on social media for extra content. Subscribe to our YouTube channel and hit the bell to get notified about live streams and new content. Tune in to our platforms every other Friday to watch the Exeter Biweekly Report with recaps of recent events, updates from town departments, and messages from nonprofits in your area. If you head to our website, exeternh.tv, we invite you to sign up to our newsletter to receive monthly updates about new content, upcoming meetings, and more. We'd like to thank you for taking the time to watch Exeter TV and hope that you tune in to our other content as well.
like to welcome you to the Exeter Planning Board of April 14th, 2022, 7 p.m. in the NOAC room. Start off by introducing myself. I'm Langdon Plummer. I'm Chair of the Planning Board, and I'll yield to the Vice Chair to introduce himself.
Okay, Aaron Brown.
John Gruder.
Pete Cameron.
Jennifer Martell.
Nancy Belanger.
Nancy's the new Selectman Board Rep. Select
I am.
Persons Board Rep.
I
So
am.
welcome.
Thank you.
Congratulations.
You still She's got
Thanks,
tired of
Pete.
waiting. She's got to First order of
decide
business
my-
are the minutes of the last meeting of March 24th that you have in your packet.
Oh, we don't have Gwen here.
I was not present at that time. Vice Chair did a fine job running the meeting. So, are there any?
You have to start on this, Pete. Gwen's not here. You might get some heavy lifting in front of you tonight. This. Any edits?
Any,
Well, I have only one question.
okay.
Line 148. And it's actually something attributable to me. And I'm not quite sure that it's quite said the right way, because I'm not sure I know about overloaded vehicles. So I think that probably should read, being careful not to overload on the road vehicles. In other words, move vehicles to the end of the line.
Upload.
Because I didn't know, otherwise it doesn't make any
Or
sense.
just say overload the road.
Oh, you're not talking about weight, you were talking about number.
Yes.
Yes, that would be better.
Yeah, I think John said on, maybe.
Yeah, just
Instead of
say
two?
on
Yeah.
the road.
Read
The simplest.
overload vehicles on the road, Pete.
No, it's just to overload the road with vehicles. In other words, putting too many vehicles on the road.
Okay.
Any other comments? I'd entertain a motion.
So move.
Accept the minutes
Yeah, go
as corrected. Second?
Second.
Moved and seconded. Voice vote. Those in favor, please indicate by saying aye.
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 I'm going to
Nays?
abstain.
Abstain.
Abstain. That's because we were absent.
Yes.
Yeah.
So it's a
Still
3-3 vote.
You can.
Well, it's a 3
You
to.
can still vote. We go okay with 3?
Three enough votes.
I mean, I know I can, and we just typically don't. I watch the whole meeting. So, I mean, I would not mind withdrawing my abstention and saying yes if we need
no.
to.
Okay.
Need,
How many do we need, Dave?
We're stuck.
Is
Majority.
3 enough?
no,
To
we
pass
need
something?
majority, the 6 here, we need majority, right?
No. For minutes?
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, it's the majority of the voting members. I mean, you
That's what we
can
just said.
abstain if you want, if you're not
3
there.
pass, 3 abstain. Is that okay?
3 and 3.
Are we good?
Oh, no, you need 4 to vote.
Yes, we need.
Oh, okay, I thought, but you don't need to.
Hi, Dave.
But you don't, no, but what I'm saying is you don't need to abstain if you haven't here. You can rely on the other members and say, okay, I trust them
Right.
to make it.
Yeah, and I
not-
watched the meeting,
You're not
so-
required to abstain.
But we do need the 4.
Yes.
You do need
So-
4, yes, I'm sorry.
Mr. Chair, I'll withdraw my abstention and vote yes.
Okay, so that's a 4-2. Thank you very
Okay.
much.
Thank you.
Minutes stand approved as.
Way to take charge.
There we go. Okay, the application, our next business is application of Phillips Exeter Academy, small school in town, for multi-family size plan review. Multi-family site plan review, a lot line adjustment, and shoreland conditional use permit for the purpose of construction of a faculty neighborhood development and associated site improvements on High Street and Gilman Lane. Subject properties are located in the C1 Central Area Commercial and R2 Single Family Residential Zoning Districts and are identified as tax map parcel number 71-117, 71-118, and 71-119. It's Planning Board Case Number 22-2. And Dave, would you like to start us off, please?
Sure, thank you. As you said, they're requesting site plan, lot line adjustment, and shoreline conditional use permit. The They submitted the original plans dated February 15th, 2022, which you have in your packet. They also submitted revised plans and supporting documents in your packet that were received on April 5th. The applicant also provided a traffic memorandum dated February 7th, prepared by Steve Pernaw with their submittal and is included in your documents as well. Technical review committee was conducted on March 9th, and a copy of the TRC letter from March 15th and UEA comments started March 14th were also enclosed in your packet. The applicant did appear before the Zoning Board of Adjustment in December, was granted a special exception to permit the construction of two-family homes in the R2 zoning district and a variance to allow a 10-foot front yard setback where 25 feet is required. Copy of the notice of decision and the meeting minutes were also enclosed. The applicant also presented their plans to Historic District Commission since it's in the Historic District back in November, and in February, the project was approved with some conditions, but they were specific to construction design and details, nothing to do with the site plan or subdivision regulations. The applicant also presented the shoreline conditional use permit to the Conservation Commission last month, and the commission voted to recommend approval of the CUP. They did recommend 4 conditions. They were more suggested comments. One was to install the best possible stormwater drainage filtration system in order to reduce nitrogen and phosphorus discharges to the nearby Exeter River. Second one, if possible, the applicant will narrow the width of the internal private road in order to minimize impermeable areas. 3, the applicant will apply for a waiver for initial fertilizer use to establish new landscaping. And finally, the applicant will review the necessity of an irrigation system for the lawn areas. They have done all that. They revised their grading and drainage plan. They narrowed the width of the internal pavement where it made sense. They have requested a waiver from the fertilizer use. It's in your packet. And they did evaluate the irrigation system, and I spoke with Kristen Murphy, the Natural Resource Sustainability Planner, today, and said all those conditions have been satisfied. And in addition to the waiver regarding the fertilizer use, they are asking for a waiver for work within 5 feet of an exterior property line. Also, just finally, if the event the board chooses to hold a site walk, I would ask, sometimes you do a site walk, sometimes you don't. I did tell the applicant in my TRC letter that I was gonna ask the board on March 24th to, make the process a little more efficient, but I decided against that because this is a butter notification and the butters wouldn't have been properly notified for that event, so I waited till this event. So in the event the board chooses to hold the site walk, I would ask the applicant to mark out the important features of the site, but in the event you don't, all the comments, the TRC comment letters, I've heard back from all departments, and no one has any further comment on the plans, and everyone is satisfied, and I do have suggested conditions of approval should the board get to that point tonight. Thank you.
Thank you. Who's up? Must have one new microphone.
I do.
Hello?
Hello?
You just push it up. It doesn't, it speaks to the TV.
Okay,
There's no microphone.
perfect. Okay, my name's Corey Belden. I'm with Altus Engineering, and I'm here with Mark Layton from Phillips Exeter Academy, and Christina O'Brien and Rob Haberson, both with Market Square Architects. And I believe that we have Kyle Zick, who is the landscape architect. There he is. So he's also available. We're very excited about this project, and I'll start right out with thanking Market Square for this great rendering of the project. I think you can see the vision of the site. This is High Street here, and really the development is this.
Oh. The best dressed technician.
There we go. Oh, thank you. Thank you. And development site, this is the primary development site with, if you're familiar with the site, this is a higher, and there's a hillside here that drops down to where the observatory is, and in the back here is where we're going to be providing our stormwater management area. Dave always seems to take half my presentation with his presentation, but as he mentioned, we did go to the zoning board back in December, received a variance and special exception for the project. One of the, with the special exception, there was an additional condition that we worked with, that the planning board provide additional screening to the properties located to the east. We're actually looking south here, so this is the east. Phillips Exeter Academy. Mark Lane has worked with the abutters. I think we've met with them on site, and Kyle Zick and PEA have developed a landscape plan. We've added some additional plantings. We're actually going to do some tree plantings on their property as well. So I think the abutters are satisfied, and we've met that condition of the special exception. Market Square, again, went through a pretty rigorous process with the HDC. One of the variance was for a setback. This is the building that is going to have a 10-foot setback, and it's really to align the buildings consistently with the other buildings along High Street. There's 2 zoning districts here. Actually 35 High Street, which is an existing building. This building is going to be renovated and converted into a two-family building. The back end of it demolished. There's an existing building, 8 Yeoman Lane here, that will be demolished, and then there'll be 4 new two-family units, buildings constructed, and then 2 single-family units constructed. This will provide a total of 13 units on the site, where currently there's 8 residential units on site. So it's just an increase of 5 residential units for this entire development site. PEA has, the goal of this project, they have a need for faculty housing on campus. So this project is going to supply them with some additional faculty housing, a diverse housing stock for the academy. There is one of the primary, one of the additional pieces of the project is to close off the existing Gilman Lane. So this is the current Gilman Lane, which runs, currently there's a driveway connection right here. As you can see, it's close proximity to the intersection. I'm sure you're aware of the traffic in this area, traffic coming here and trying to take a left in, or people coming out and trying to take a left out. It's a very difficult movement. And not ideal with the proximity to the intersection. So the plan is to actually close this off, have this just become a driveway, and then the primary access to the site is going to be from the existing signalized intersection. This is actually already a 4-phase loop, 4-leg loop at the site because of the existing driveway. So this will just be converted to the main. Gilman Lane will be realigned. So this will be the primary access through the site and back to the ball fields through the site. There will also be a new sidewalk constructed along this access road that will provide pedestrian access through the site, coming down and terminate in this area, again leading down towards the ball fields and the trails for the academy. So we're here, as Dave mentioned, for 3 separate applications. The first is for a lot line adjustment, and there's 3 existing lots. This lot is one of the lots. It's a 395 acre lot. can't see a lot from that picture, so I'm going to zoom in to this one. This piece, so 35 Gilman Lane is this lot here, the green lines. The green lines are the lines that will, the lot lines that will be abandoned for the project. 35 High Street, 10 Gilman Lane, and then this portion is all a piece of the larger lot that will be converted, that will be added to these two lots to form a single lot for the project. The second application is for a conditional use permit for a impacts within the shoreline buffer. So, as Dave mentioned, we met with Conservation Commission and, we met with the Conservation Commission in regards to the shoreline permit application. Their buffer is a 250-foot buffer. So you can see it pretty much encompasses almost the entire site. There are some areas, the primary area that's being developed is already a previously developed site. I sort of highlighted this, the 150 buffer line, because that's we look at that a lot of times for structural setbacks and impervious area within that 150. We tried to keep all of the, make sure that there's not a net increase in impervious area within the 150. So we're not increasing impervious in that area. We're also preserving all of the shoreland bank along the Exeter River and trying to preserve as much of the wooded buffer here in this area of the site that's close to the observatory and provides additional screening to the observatory. As Dave mentioned, one of the conditions of approval for from the Conservation Commission was to try to increase the amount of nitrogen and phosphorus removal for the project. So we did look into, one of their recommendations was to consider a gravel wetland for the site. That has we were proposing just a standard bioretention rain garden for the site, but after consideration of the wet, we based on the location of the stormwater treatment to the trails and the observatory and the ball fields, really a gravel wetland, just having a bunch of rock sitting there that's wet, and we wanted to look at a different option. So this is actually a new treatment that's been approved by DES, Alteration of Terrain, and provides actually higher nitrogen phosphorus removal rates than the gravel wetland. And it's called Enhanced Bioretention Internal Storage Reservoir. It's really still has your filter media on the top that can be planted with grass and have your grass plantings. The water filters through it, but you put in internal permeate, like a rubber mat, impermeable liner within in the middle of the rain garden, the bioretention system, and that forces the water to go around to the outsides of the system and then filter back underneath and then travel through the rock. The outlet's raised up, so it's a saturated reservoir, and then that creates the travel path, the extended travel path through the reservoir, and then the outlet is raised to keep that a saturated zone, and that provides more phosphorus and nitrogen removal rates. I have some charts that were included in the drainage memo, but significantly higher than standard rain gardens and the gravel wetlands. So let's see, going on to the site plan application. We met with, actually we've met with a number of different review boards throughout this process, but we met with technical review, had a peer review from Underwood Engineers. We did submit a letter with our application addressing all of the comments. I think it was 9 pages, so I'm not going to go through everyone individually, but certainly when we finish, you'll be more than welcome to ask, we'll address any questions that you may have on the site plan application. As we mentioned, the Gilman Lane Road will be realigned over to the signalized intersection. We were asked to look at reducing the pavement width on the roads, so we have done that on the by 2 feet on the spur roads down to these 3 buildings, and this one, which really actually serves one resident, or 2 units, but 1 building on this side. So those were reduced by 2 feet. We were asked by the fire department to keep this as the 22-foot width. So we kept this as the standard width all the way to the corner, and then we've narrowed it down to 20-foot wide through this section here. We've also provided, fire truck turning movements. We've used the template and run those movements through the site, showing that we can still get through all the way through the site, and that was provided in the application. Each unit, in general, all of the new buildings will have 2 parking spaces per unit. One would be a covered garage stall, and the second exterior surface stall. The only exception, is the existing 35 Gilman, which will have all 4 exterior surface stalls for that parking. Visitor parking will be on the sides of the road, but we're putting no parking along the main the main Gilman Road. The visitor traffic can park on the sides, on the side roads. There's been a Kyle Zick, who again is here with us, provided a landscape plan. This, again, this is one of the areas that we worked with the abutters to provide some additional landscaping and some tree planting buffering along this area, as well as trying to preserve some of the existing trees that are in this area behind the houses along Marlboro. So CA worked with them to come up with this plan, and I think everybody is in agreement on what's been proposed right now. We've also provided some additional buffering within the, we're going to provide some additional planting in the buffer along the riverbank. There's a couple areas that are a little barren, so we're going to provide some additional plant buffering in this area, and then as well as near the outlet structure down in this area. The outlet structure is an existing outlet to Exeter River. We're going to, this culvert that crosses underneath Gilman Lane. It's an old corroded corrugated metal pipe that will be replaced with a HDP pipe with a new plunge pool outlet that's designed for NHDS design standards, and will outlet again to the Exeter River. This is again the area for our bioretention system here. So Again, we're looking for approval for the 3 applications and the 2 waivers. The waivers being work within 5 feet of the property line. Certainly, we have a number of, working within 5 feet of this property line over here. We're very close on this line, and on this line, this property line over here. I did not mention in the lot line adjustment plan, we're actually going to be deeding, there's a 10-foot strip of property right in here that will actually be deeded to the adjacent property owner for the project. So this strip will be deeded to property at 25 High Street. So I think that's the end of our presentation. I'm welcome to answer any of your
Okay.
questions.
Questions, comments, concerns? John?
Just one, on your Q&A here, how, the sewer main that was at capacity, how'd you resolve that? Assuming it has been resolved.
It's again, that's in the town's hands. We do have a slight increase to the sewer capacity of 5 additional units. I think it was
Right.
about 1,000 gallons per day.
Right.
My understanding is that this project is not significant enough to have an impact. But I think the long-term plan from the town and from the sewer department is to look at, development in the area. But my understanding is that they're fine with this project moving forward.
The existing sewer main is at capacity during peak flow. But they're okay with that. I'm just curious.
Yeah. My understanding is that they're looking at the whole corridor for the sewer line and 5 residential units, and it wasn't a significant impact to that, the capacity of the line. So.
Thank you.
Anything else? Yes, Pete.
Excuse me, is this retired faculty housing, or will these be current lecturers, professors, et cetera?
Current faculty.
Current functioning faculty.
What?
Current functioning
Okay.
faculty.
Well, that,
Say that 3 times.
so then there's no, these folks don't have dorm duty, for which they must be quite relieved.
So they've done their dorm duty.
Yeah.
So this is where they go after they do the dorm duty. So this
So
is,
it's like,
this is their vacation spot that they can go to.
they're easing into retirement.
Exactly, yeah. So this is what we would call post-dorm housing. So there is probably most likely some pre-dorm housing, so there's somebody's waiting to get into a dorm. Some of these units may be used for that, depending on the need for that, but it's intended for post-dorm housing.
Now, it also means that there will be potentially students coming to these houses?
I mean, there's always that potential.
Well, but if the instructor or the professor is well regarded by his students, they will want to, well, I guess what I'm concerned with is, will there be a potential influx of students, measured perhaps 20 or 30 over a period of time?
Right.
If these faculty members are, as most of the PA faculty are, well regarded by their clients, so to speak.
Right.
The only reason I say this is that my brother-in-law was taught at Phillips in Andover, so that I do have a little bit of familiarity with this progression of housing. Now, will there continue to be a way for students or anybody who wants to access the lower area here? They'll now have to come in at the revised Gilman. They can't come in at the old Gilman.
That's correct, yeah.
So that in essence is not going to be a walkway anymore, or any way to
No, but there was, as you can, well, there's a new sidewalk that's going to be built right here that will go and connect down to the gravel lane that's there. So we are closing this, as Corey mentioned, and we don't want that to end up being a cut through. This is basically a side lawn for that residence. So we do want people to go this way, but it's not much further. It's actually better because there is not a sidewalk now for Gilman Lane, right? You have to walk down the road on the grass. So yes, we would want pedestrians to go this way. It's still going to remain open to the public. So it's a little further to walk, but that's it. And actually, we'll have a couple of sidelights. There's one here, so we would do better in that regard.
If you're coming from High Street, it's shorter.
Yeah, it's true. If you come in this direction, it's shorter.
That's right,
So,
yeah.
And this is, and part of this, that, this is a little bit more dense than we typically would do, but the reason for that is we feel comfortable with that is because we have the fields behind and access to behind, so they have a very large backyard that they can utilize. And so, Pete, your question about the students, there could be, although that's not done like that anymore. So meetings with students is now done on campus. It's not frowned upon, but it's not like it was before. It's unlikely that students will be coming into the private house where we are today.
Thank you.
So I have a question on games. So are you going to open that up so people can drive down Gilman Lane to the stadium?
I'm sorry, no.
Okay.
Well, I mean, they're no more than what we do now.
Okay,
Yeah, so we do it at times, we'll open up now.
like the big games and things like
We
that?
do, but we don't have parking. We're not intending to increase parking.
Okay.
And we try to minimize the impact of the residential life here. We still have the crossing across Hill Bridge. So this will not, at this point, will not increase any traffic for the games,
Okay.
because of games.
And the Gilman Lane is still going to be open for fire trucks and things to get down to the stadium and out there in case there's an emergency and, okay.
Yeah, and that was, Corey paid special attention to the turning radiuses for all of that, public works vehicles, utility vehicles, especially Unitil's large vehicles that they have.
And I just remembered something sitting here, so I didn't research it first, so my apologies. But when we took the dam out, we had to use Gilman Lane to get down to, I think it's called the water intake.
Yep.
Yeah, is that gonna be a problem if we ever have to get equipment down in there again? Or that shouldn't be a problem if we can get fire trucks, right? But the easement is there, so if we needed to get down and fix anything.
There's that access, there's also access from Drinkwater Road that can actually.
Yeah, I think when they did it, when the dam came out, they used Gilman Lane. That, I just remembered it when you were doing your presentation, so.
Yeah, which is totally that we have an agreement with the town public works to have access, to actually have a key card to get into the gate.
Yes.
I mean, there's the stadium well is down there, so they have access all the time.
Right, yeah, I just remembered the whole diving thing that had happened after the dam came out. And visitor parking on the side, that won't interfere with fire trucks if they had to get down there?
Visitor parking.
I was looking, so it's the other way. They're gonna loop the other way, never mind, thank you. Thank
There will
you.
be visitor parking for the residents.
Yeah, but I was just thinking if they're on the side and fire trucks had to come back down, how narrow, 20 feet is, yeah, thank you. Those are my questions. Appreciate it.
So, and that related, that also would serve as an access for ambulance that had to get down to the stadium? Okay.
Yeah.
There's the gate that's there now.
Yeah.
It's still staying in the same spot. I think it's maybe in that area right there.
Yeah,
Or maybe a
yeah.
little bit lower, yeah. We're not planning to relocate that, or it's still going to be the same. Everything's just above it. You see the connection point right there. And of course, our observatory is it further down?
Yep.
It's down here, I think.
Yes, yep. See the corner of it.
We're very protective of that.
How does this neighborhood but compare to the one that you built a few years ago behind the Performing Arts Building?
So
Or
the
beside it?
Neilport, yeah, so it's in Neilport. It's very close. We actually asked Market Square to study that when we were developing this. The density is close, but the buildings are smaller. The
Okay.
housing units are smaller.
Okay.
So they're all single family. And
Yeah.
these you can see are a combination of single family and two family.
Yeah.
So we looked at the density and the distances between the buildings, and so it's similar to that. Just the approach to the buildings is a little different.
Same general concept.
Same general
Yeah.
concept, yeah, but,
It's also called a pocket neighborhood. We got one over by the bowling alley.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
Yep.
The idea of this was again, a community, and the diversity of the community with faculty doing the post-storm, potentially younger faculty, faculty with families. So we have a range of sizes. We have between 2-bedroom apartments to 3-bedroom apartments to a 4-bedroom single family. So there's variation in size.
Variation, okay.
With the idea of hope to have diversity in type of families.
Any other questions?
Is Gilman Lane a public road?
Private.
It's private, and it's going to stay private?
Yes.
Poor Gilman Road. It gets kind of
Lost
gradually
Gilman
eliminated and
Street.
reshaped.
Gilman
Yeah,
Lane.
Gilman Lane.
Right,
Gilman Road no longer exists.
right, we
It's
lost
actually
Gilman
just a lot
Road, now
of
it's
living.
Lane.
Yeah.
It'll still be Gilman Lane though, right?
Yes, no, we're not.
Absolutely, thank you, we need to keep that name going.
Is the rain garden that's between the two buildings closest to High Street, is that also going to be one of those ISR wetlands?
No, it's not, but that rain garden actually drains to the other rain garden. So, and
Okay.
water that actually goes in that rain garden, because we only have one, if I go back, maybe go forward a sheet. Yeah, this rain garden, because we're outletting, and again, one of the reasons to come down here, and we don't want to go into or get into High Street. That drain line that's running down High Street's about 15 feet deep in the road. It's a very deep drain line. But we're connect, this rain garden here, the pipe, comes down, the outlet for it comes down and connects to the line that's also collecting the runoff, the other runoff from the site with a single line that comes down and drains to the other rain garden. So really, it's all going to the same place. You're sort of getting double treatment with what's going to the rain garden up on the high area.
Okay.
Well, that's clearly the upland of that part
Yeah.
of the
And
lot
that
anyway.
area allows for a little bit, because it's upland, and we put that in so
Yeah.
that we can actually get some infiltration up in that area. So that one is designed for a little bit more infiltration as well. The lower groundwater table up on
The other stormwater management you were showing us, is that something that they've tested out up at UNH along with all the other devices they have there?
Yep, that's, that detail was developed at the UNH Stormwater Center,
Okay,
and it's been implemented. New Hampshire DES has approved it, so they've added it to their design criteria for doing alteration of terrain permit applications, and as well as the PTAP reporting now that you do for the MS4 reporting for communities. It's included in their material as one of the devices, the approved devices. So it's new, but it's getting standardized throughout the community.
my other question is, the other house, is it 27 High Street, the one that's behind, the one that's right on High Street?
25.
That one. How do people access that?
That will be accessed again through the site
Okay,
to the parking here.
are those parking spaces for them, or are they for their,
Those are for this.
oh, okay,
Yes.
all right.
Yeah,
So they're just gonna, again, go around, all right.
exactly. Yeah.
So-
It's the same access.
Those parking spaces are sort of straddling the property line?
Yeah, and that property is also owned by Phillips Exeter Academy.
Oh, okay.
So, but you're right, the parking stalls are a little bit, they're sort of right on that property line, but. Yeah, that's how it is existing, so.
Oh, okay.
It's not, we're not changing the condition there.
I'm curious about the house that's getting demolished. I didn't do my research.
8 Gilman Lane?
Yeah, with
The one-
the Historic Commission review and all that, and I was just wondering if somebody could just tell us a little bit about that
I'll let
house?
the architects talk about that one.
Thank you.
So that was part of why, I think, without that building being demolished, the HDC review would have probably been relatively quick. I think how many times did we go back? Four. So, and part of the reason we went back 4 times was basically to talk about the demolition of that. And so, the Heritage Commission reviewed it prior to the HDC, and they voted 5 to 1 for demolition. And part of it was based on their site walk. And through the course of the conversations with the HTC, we actually met with 3 different historical house experts. And one was through the HTC, one was through Phillips Exeter, but essentially everybody said the same thing, which I think we found as architects going through the building, which is the demolition's already been done. There's nothing there that's existing really, other than some granite in the foundation. So there's not a lot left from the historical home, and the building that's there now, although it has components from a myriad eras, it doesn't represent any particular architectural style relative to the goals of the HTC as far as educating and supporting the architectural style. So at the conclusion of all of those various groups kind of coming to the same endpoint, the HTC voted unanimously, or well, no, I think there was one abstaining, which was the Heritage Commission member who voted against, but everybody else, I think, came to the same conclusion.
Okay.
Jen, I walked it with the Heritage Commission and the architects, right? It's just like a hodgepodge. There's been, little things have been done here and there that they've ruined the building.
Yeah.
I think your word's essentially destroyed anyway, so.
Yeah, it's all done.
Well, and it seems to me like the plan for the new building and bringing it in line with the other houses on the road and just having that, similar scale, it's very respectful to what's around it, and I think it's going to be really nice. I mean, this really is an important gateway to the
That was
downtown.
definitely the intent, and that's why we actually went and had and asked for that waiver to keep that in line. And then 35 High Street, we went through that same exact exercise, and the original, even though the back addition is kind of nothing, that front building is actually in pretty good shape. It has a lot of the original features, is why we elected to keep it.
They took off the back, which was added after the fact, that had no significance.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, that's great. I'm glad it can get reused,
Absolutely.
repurposed.
Well, I appreciate from seeing the plans, the new structures fitting in very nicely along High Street in terms of architectural appearance, so
Thank you.
it should blend in well with the neighborhood. We've tried that in other buildings that have not had success. We still have a 50s dorm that was built behind us over here, but at any rate, architect from Portsmouth didn't hear us, but we don't have that authority, but I appreciate, of course, the Academy, and they did a nice job with the other neighborhood we spoke of, yeah. And your new dorm seems to be coming along pretty well. Any other questions, comments, concerns? You're pretty quiet tonight, Mr.
It's a good plan.
Oh, okay.
You guys are cheering him on and well enough, so good job.
He's wishing he was faculty.
You need to open to the public. Yes, I do. Yep.
I have one more question.
Oh, yes.
For Mr. Zick on the phone. I don't know if you can hear, but I can hear you. Okay, great. It looks like in front of the buildings along High Street, it's basically just, there's a few trees planted and then it's grass up to the foundation. And if you look at the architectural elevations, the foundation, it's tall, it's several steps up to the front door. So I was just wondering if there was a consideration for planting some shrubs and other foundation plantings in front of the buildings, and maybe in front of those wooden screen fences also.
It was deliberate to not have foundation planting. Some of that was historic precedent, locally and regionally. And Exeter doesn't have, the Academy doesn't have too much foundation planting in general. So we, generally, this plan is trees and some shrubs, but only for screening.
Yeah, I'm concerned. I mean, I understand that precedent. I'm just concerned that it's gonna look a little sparse. I'm thinking of like the new construction on Epping Road, like those, there is foundation planting there, but they're very tiny and it just looks very it's harsh. It's a little harsh.
I could just add to what Kyle's saying, as part of the direction from us. Part of it is just what we can maintain and what it would look like as we go forward, so we try to minimize on that. So I understand what you're saying as far as the architectural size and then the last. I think we didn't want to get into something where we can't maintain and then over time it starts to get worse. So we tried to minimize. I think, if And part of it is, we'd like to build these first and then look at it afterwards and see what we could do to try to soften that. But that was why the general approach is that you'll see a lot of our properties that we're trying to pull back a lot of the planting beds and be very simple, clean, instead of getting into mulch planting beds where they tend to get weedy over time. So that was the original intent. That was our direction style with what he's suggesting here.
Okay.
And just to clarify, the planning that's in the green there, that's addressing the ZBA's request?
Yes, in a way, yeah. I personally met with the two abutters on the east, and actually at I think it's 39 High Street, and they've all agreed with the approach that we're showing here. But it was definitely to accommodate their request for both of our requests for screening. So there's a fence there too, opposing a fence, and then this is in addition to the fence to help the screening. But yeah,
Okay.
to address that.
Let me open the meeting to the public. If anybody wishes to speak, please step up to the microphone and let us know what your concerns, what the questions are. Do you have anything, or are you just coming in to say hello?
Just catching my breath as I'm running up the
Oh,
stairs.
yeah. No, you got a short breath coming up those stairs, Doctor?
I need my language.
Good. Past planning board member, by the way. We wore him out.
Well, my name is Anthony Swan, 7 Marlborough Street. I am in a butter on that side. I'm speaking neither for or against. I'm not thrilled with having a development, but that's a natural reaction as an abutter. We've had good conversations with PEA about the screening on our property line, so that's good. Sorry, I'm catching my breath here as I rush down here. I'm impressed at the speed at which this is being deliberated for the size of the project that it is. So I hope that the planning department has done its due diligence relative to the good question brought up by Nancy, relative to rights of way, relative to the major utilities that run under or near the existing Gilman Lane, and access to the major utilities that are downstream on Gilman Way. So I hope that the board carefully reviews that. I've heard no discussion about the amount of traffic that this particular development will generate, which will now be emptying out onto what is already a challenged intersection. So I hope that the board carefully deliberates that and that the planning department has done its due diligence in that regard. And I've heard no discussion about drainage. I've had a discussion with PEA about that, but I'll just remind the board that that's an important consideration, and that the area involving my property is pretty low-lying and pretty wet. There's, I don't have a pointer, but, yeah. There is a very low-lying area right here. A river runs through it, and I think the drain is being proposed right here. Maybe this was already described. It is. That's already described, but nonetheless, I'm still concerned about where that's going to lead my property relative to drainage in that regard. So I just want to remind the board to keep that in mind as well. There's a pretty substantial grove of trees right here that is being removed. And that's hard to replace given the proximity of this building to the property line right there. So we're doing the best we can with the plantings that are being proposed, but don't underestimate how many trees are being removed. And I just want to bring all of that to the attention of the board. Like I said, I'm not speaking for or against. I think it's, it's workforce housing in the right sort of way, or actually in a pretty right sort of way. So it's infill, so that's, neither of these things are bad, but it's a pretty major impact on a very high visibility area. No disrespect to the architects, but I'm not particularly thrilled with the architecture of the duplexes, but it is what it is. Just want to slow everybody down and have them consider all these things. I'll leave it at that. Thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else like to comment? Well, seeing none, let me bring it back to the board. We did have information from Burnell and Associates. Excuse me, you wanted to respond to?
Just a couple of the
Go ahead. Go ahead.
I think we can address some of those. I think possibly here. And again, possibly Mrs. Juan wasn't here for the whole presentation, so didn't get some of the pieces on the traffic and the drainage. But one thing I could show that within the drainage plan, a lot of really this hillside, the mound or the top of the berm here, this area in the existing condition, all flows in this direction. And as he said, it comes over towards the
river.
Towards these properties. There's actually a drain over here, connects over and goes into drainage in Marlborough Street. So it's sort of, the flow pattern for the water is really the top of this berm. It actually goes this direction, all of this area. So what we're doing is actually picking this up. You can see behind these houses, we have a swale that's coming down through the back here. We have a little depressed pond area with a catch basin in that. So all of the flows that's coming in behind here, coming in this direction, we're now picking that up and running it back to our treatment area. So really picking up a significant, we're really not pushing any of our flows off site in the post-development condition for this project. There's still some flows that come across from I think that's 45 High Street. This parking lot area, we can't do anything about their drainage, their flows flow back this way as well, but we can't do anything about that. But we are picking up everything that's coming from our site, all of the new impervious areas, and picking that up and running it back away from the properties abutting along Marlborough Street.
Are you capturing the water coming off the roofs?
Yes.
And just give me an idea which way those go.
Sorry, what's that?
Which way does that water eventually go?
The roof runoff is coming down to the, we have a swale, we're picking it up, and that's all going to the treatment. That enhanced bioretention treatment down by the observatory.
So that lower treatment is really getting the majority from, because you spoke about the rain garden on, I'll call it the High Street Rain Garden. That goes in that direction.
It does.
And this
one,
this connects up in that same.
It connects down there, and again, this one, because we're up on a higher level, this one, we anticipate many of the smaller storm events may never even flow down here because we'll have some infiltration. We'll have that. We have the stone bed, but we raise the pipe up out of the stone bed, so smaller storms may never even get up into the outlet pipe. And it may all infiltrate up in this area. And this area this is collecting all of the roof runoff from these, not all of that, all of the roofs, but pretty much these 4 houses that are draining towards the rain garden in the middle. And again, we're going through EDS, alteration of terrain. We're reducing peak flows. This site the entire site in the existing condition has about 32,000 square feet of impervious area already. We're increasing it, but only to about 47,000 square feet. So an increase, but we're also providing treatment to basically all of the impervious on the site. The only small areas that really you can't treat are, there's a small section of the roofs on the front, 10 feet from the road that are, that drain to the front and get into the drain system along High Street. So other than that, we're picking up all the impervious areas for the site.
Could you comment a little bit about traffic flow? I know we, in our packet, Brunel and Associates had done a study, but maybe you could talk about that and the signal that's there and how that's going to blend or mix up the intersection there?
Existing signal, and there's actually existing timed light for the existing driveway here at 35 Gilman. The traffic report, again, was done by Steve Pernon Associates. He's a traffic engineer. Went out, looked at the site. The timing for the site is adequate for, I think he said it ranges between a 4-second and 10-second loop time, but you're never going to have more than 2 cars parked here at a time waiting to make a turn. So, and then again, with a residential development of 13 units, the impact on the we call it de minimis impact on the existing traffic signal. So really, I mean, a few more houses plus, being factored housing, even with the numbers that are the standard numbers that you use for traffic generation reports, we anticipate there's probably going to be a slight reduction from that because they are faculty on campus. They're going to be people using the trail, walking to campus, walking through town, getting coffee before they head to campus. We think of a lot of the faculty at PEA, because if they drove, depending on which depending on which building they're teaching in, they might not have a parking stall right next to that building. They might have a parking garage and walk. So it may just be easier to walk the campus.
Or to bike and go over what I call Gravel's Bridge. Sorry, I grew up here. That's what we used to call it. Once that is back in service, you're doing some work on that, right? The bridge. So, I mean, once that's done, I would imagine a lot of the people living there would be biking or walking down Gilman in that way. I mean, I'm concerned with that intersection. I drive it every day. It's a nightmare. So I know you're saying it's only 5 more houses, but a couple of those houses have had nobody in them for a very long time.
Just one.
The white one that you're taking down, and then the one next door, the old, that's had people in it?
One at 35 High Street?
Yeah.
Nope, that's been full. It has 6 apartments.
I have not seen anyone come in and out of there.
That's because they're riding their bikes again.
They're riding their bikes. So thank you for correcting me on that, because I thought it was vacant for a long time.
No, we purchased it 2 years ago. It's,
okay.
I think for about 3 months, it had a couple apartments that were empty. Since then, it's been full. The 8 Gilman Lane has been empty.
So it's had people from the academy in it? So they probably are doing what I anticipate that the new people will do.
Yeah, since we purchased it, we had, there were 2 apartments that were leased for about another 6 months after we purchased, and then they left and we filled them with faculty. So, and the bridge work is done. That was done last
It's already done?
Yep, we finished that last summer.
COVID, I swear, it's thrown me off with time frame, so.
No,
okay.
we do have a lot.
I remember talking about it, and I thought it was in the works. Oh my gosh, that's awful.
And I would also just point out that the existing Gilman Lane, as it is now, creates a traffic issue by going in and out, and a safety concern.
It does, I've witnessed that too.
So if you have people they're coming from High Street and want to take a left, that holds up traffic behind them. If you have people trying to get out of Gilman, left or right, then that happens.
It does.
Okay.
Uh-oh. Yeah, now it's your turn.
Yeah, so.
Yeah, they're at the mercy of people
Is this a quick
stopping
charge?
to let them out.
Batteries. So in general, we felt like this is an improvement by having it go rerouting Gilman Lane to the traffic lane.
Okay.
Yeah, I was going to say, what you're doing now is actually making it a safer intersection.
Yeah, it is.
I don't think it's such a crazy intersection because it's got signals. And, yes, it gets backed up.
Just to reiterate Corey's point, it also, so it eliminates the Gilman Lane turning, but it doesn't change the way that current signal operates now.
Correct, yeah.
So when you say that the signal is a timed signal, does that mean that today there's a 4 seconds, every loop,
No.
there's 4 seconds for this light?
There's a traffic loop detector here, so it's only when a car.
It's only when there's a car
pulls
there,
up to
okay.
this spot, then they set off the signal for that leg. If no one goes there, then it'll run through the signal without that.
So in theory, there's more often that the loop is going to have to include this driveway because there'll be more cars coming out of this driveway, which could make the already.
And I think it's it turns green in like 4 seconds. It's like one car allowable to do.
Yeah, it's going to have to be tweaked. I'm not an expert, but there is a problem there. But a lot of the time, if you're coming into town, it's the right on red that when it's heavy traffic, they just keep going. So it stops people from coming down High Street into, which then again could affect people coming out from the new development, but we'll have to just look at that when the time comes and see.
Anyone speaking at the podium, can you please speak closer to the microphone?
Yes.
Yeah, so thank you.
Anyone.
So that works something like the pedestrian button, only the driver doesn't have to push any button. It's sensed, the vehicle is sensed and it triggers it to stop.
Correct.
Yep.
Yeah, it's a sense.
Okay.
Correct.
Nothing yet? Okay, he's still happy.
I personally I like the idea of a site walk.
You do?
There are a lot of trees getting cut down. I'd like to sort of, I never really walked back here, and I would like to
too.
get a sense of the topography and the
Okay, I was
vegetation
going to ask
that's
if
there.
anybody's, I'm with you, I think. Anybody else?
Yes, please.
John, you want
I
to?
already walked it.
Yeah, I do.
I've been in the house.
I walk by it.
I've been
off
in the
and on
house.
frequently, but when I'm headed to Swayze, I go right by it.
I've driven by it a million times, but.
So,
yeah, it's not.
How about consensus, John? Pete, do you think you want to go over there?
It all depends
It all depends.
on my right knee.
Okay. And the weather, huh? Nancy, you,
Yes, please.
yes? John, you're happy and you're happy?
Either way.
Either way, okay. Well, what would be a good time that we could do that then, before next meeting? But our next meeting is in 2 weeks.
Well,
Have we got a full agenda? We got to talk to
no.
Mr. Sharples.
We have no agenda, but you would do it without me because it's school vacation week. And I'm off.
Oh, it's school vacation, not
School vacation week.
not
The week
town
of the
vacation week.
25th, but we could do it
Not
next
town
time.
vacation week, no. But
We know how to work.
Steve's vacation, hopefully.
Yeah, the town's closed.
So I will be out of town, but, and Kristen will be too, so, because it's school vacation weekend.
So if we
But
try
Mark
to do
would
it,
show you around.
The
Okay.
next meeting
You are too.
that I'd be available is May 12th. And we didn't have any business on the 28th.
We don't have a meeting
Okay.
right now.
No.
Okay.
yeah. I mean, I'm familiar with the whole plot there, but I do want to see the trees that are coming out for,
So I guess what Dave's saying there is that the walk could be in May.
yeah, no, I'm fine with that.
Yeah.
I know it delays,
I don't know
but
how
yeah.
much it delays these guys if they want to try to get on the agenda in April.
Yeah, I mean, that's what needs to happen. I mean, it's a delay, that's for
Yeah.
sure. I mean, this is, something we're hoping to start this summer. I don't know if we can schedule the sidewalk sooner than later. I mean, it's, I'll be honest, there's not any high-value trees that we're planting.
I'd just like to see.
Totally
Yeah.
understand. I think it's important that you can look at it, but.
I mean, I could do it Monday morning,
Several.
but
Well, if we,
Does that have to be notified? I mean,
Yeah, you have to notify it, but it's 24 hours.
It's
Usually
24 hours.
Usually what takes the longest is the planning board usually likes to see at least a minimum.
They have to
the
mark
buildings
some stuff
staked
out,
out,
right.
The road, the access road in.
Right.
Usually so they get a sense of where they are.
Right.
what's going on.
Yeah.
So it's not done right now. What would that take? Like, when could you get to that and do that?
Within a few days.
Oh, there you go.
So when are you out?
The week of the 23rd?
The week after next. 25th.
25th.
Last week of April, yeah.
Yeah, I'll be away that week. Well, I'll be away the 25th, 26th, and 27th. I was going to be back for the meeting if we're having a meeting on the 28th.
Okay, so the
But
intent
if-
would be to try to be before that then.
Yeah, so next week, like the 19th, 20th,
Okay,
21.
you go ahead and suggest the date.
Is it possible to do it the Monday, the 18th?
I can't do Mondays,
okay.
unfortunately.
I was only suggesting because I'm already off that morning, but I can do it. As long as we're doing it in the morning, I'm fine.
Yeah, I like mornings too. Seems like we're the only two.
I know, but I can get to the office. I'm still trying to balance.
What's a good date for you,
Everything.
Jen?
I could do Wednesday or Thursday would be good, or Friday. 20th, 21st,
20th,
22nd.
21st?
Yeah.
Okay.
22nd is Earth Day. That's
Well-
when you should do it. That's when you should do it.
You're
Yeah, I don't know if it's gonna help, we might have to propose of the existing, I know you want to put eyes on it, but I mean, there's, I'm not trying to.
It's not just the tree, I think it's the whole.
Yeah, I think that the tree part was more for me than, it's the whole project, but it's been a while. I mean, I walked down there a few years ago, but
That's fine, yeah, if it's more than that, I mean, there's, we'll make sure the process.
But I guess the question is, can we meet on the 28th if you're not, I mean,
Yeah? I mean, that's up to you. I'm just saying,
Yes.
I won't
Okay.
be available.
We've had meetings without Dave Sharples before.
well, he said Kristen's away too.
Yeah.
Because usually she's the
I'd still
stand-in.
write a memo, I'd still provide any suggested, I'd still be very prepared and provide you with everything I
Yeah.
know.
Yeah.
I just won't be I wouldn't be able to be physically
I know.
present for that.
Better take the training wheels off sometime.
Yeah.
yeah, so, I mean, somebody raised their hand, and was there somebody else that wasn't going to be available on the 28th out of you guys? No?
28.
Yeah, that was you. I did catch that.
That school vacation, yeah, I'll be out of town, school vacation.
Will that be doable?
I'm gone. I'm
We'll have the
gone,
meeting
too.
at Disney World, I guess.
But I'm not, yeah, I'm gone.
So the 20th or 21st would not work?
Let's, I think it's.
Do it in Disney, do it at Disney.
Yeah.
We know Florida.
Okay.
Thank
you.
So if that gives you more flexibility on your sidewalk, then you should consider it.
What do you say, Mark? Push it to May?
Yeah, because Corey's not available either
Yeah.
on that week, so.
Okay.
I think-
Okay, May.
Okay.
All right,
How's
that will
May
give you
looking
some
like?
more time to
Jen?
take things off.
I could do any morning except for Mondays.
The only good thing about doing the site walk sooner is if it does bring anything forward, it does give the applicant more time to respond, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
Which is helpful.
Yeah. I mean, I'm still fine with doing it next week if,
If you can accommodate
kinda
it next
fresh in
week,
our
it's probably
heads.
helpful.
I'm
Yeah.
fine with it, all three, the same dates that Jen is.
do you want to say the 21st?
Wednesday, no, that's Thursday. the
Thursday.
21st.
Thursday.
Yep, that's all right.
8 a.m.?
Where would we park?
8 o'clock?
Once, go into Gilman Lane
Okay,
and just park, you'll see that there's parking behind 8 Gilman Lane.
Yeah, there's.
I'll be on a plane,
Right.
so I
There
don't need to
actually
go.
is a big parking.
Okay, great.
A lot of pavement right now.
So you can feel the effect of trying to get in and get out.
yes, we will. I'll make sure I'm taking a right when I have to come out again.
You know, 21st, that's, is that next
Okay,
week?
thank you.
Thursday, I'll be
Yeah,
on
that's
the
not
plane.
good. I gotta be making.
Oh, no, well, wait a minute, Aaron's not available.
He's on vacation in Maine.
Oh, really?
That 21st not gonna work for me.
Okay,
How about Wednesday,
Wednesday's fine, the 20th?
20th?
All right.
Dave? More available?
That works for me.
Works for you, works for
All
me.
right.
time?
8 AM?
It'll work for me.
8 a.m.
8 o'clock?
Now he's
Yeah.
On the
just
20th?
upset because he has to change the time.
Okay,
So you're leaving the 21st?
Thank you.
I need a motion to table,
Where are you going this time?
I'll move the table.
Second?
tell,
What?
You and friends, they have a
Table
house.
till
Table till the,
12,
May.
7
What?
PM.
May 12, 7
May
p.m.?
12th?
That's what he said, May 12, 7 p.m.
It is.
you just couldn't hear it.
Yeah, that's right. All right. And we will be having a site walk
Yeah, May 12th, the planning board. That's what
April 20th, Wednesday the 20th.
Yeah, I do.
And then you're gonna, I'll post the sidewalk,
I used
say
to tell
that
people
again?
to visit.
20th?
Say the 20th at 8 a.m.?
Wednesday the 20th at 8 a.m., Gilman Lane.
How big it is.
Yep.
It is huge.
Here are the keys.
Yeah.
Because I'm not gonna.
Okay, we have a motion on the table.
Very good.
I'm going to call for vote. Those in favor, please indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Nays? Abstentions? The ayes have it. Thank you, gentlemen and ladies.
Thank you.
Okay, I doubt my knee will make it from Bitterfield.
Okay.
That intersection needs a roundabout.
I don't like him in this.
Other business. Oh, what do
Is he
you?
just gonna stay there?
Make a lot of.
The screen's kind of moving too.
You don't even remember your
motion.
At first I thought, because I had first, but I'm like, why would that be triggered sitting here? And then I realized, oh my
Thank you.
God, thought I was seeing things at first.
All right. Okay.
Through those in.
Any,
It's a little practice.
any other business? We have other business master plan discussion, or is there any kind of report there, or you guys just slacking off, or what?
I got something on that one if you want me to get to that, but why don't you go first?
Okay.
Oh, I should.
You should
Yeah,
go to
step
the
to the
mic.
microphone.
Did you have a meeting with others?
Are these new mics so expensive?
I
They're
am.
gonna
You
only
gonna
afford
be at
one?
the sidewalk?
Then get that roundabout then.
Just on that, I signed the contract with Horsley Witten Group, who did our master plan, on a zoning amendment that we're looking to work on this year to, basically to kind of, I think to sum it up, I'll present it, in more detail when we get there, but just more efficient use of land and more productive from an environmental, social, and financial standpoint. And coupled with that, we've been asked to participate in Urban 3. They're a firm that basically looks at towns from a fiscal standpoint and land use from a financial angle. And say, okay, some things that you've heard from me before too about, the cost of different types of development. Do they pay for themselves? Do they not pay for themselves? What types of development pay for, the majority of, pay more than maybe what they use in services, and others pay less. It's just the way it works.
Yes.
This company takes a look at towns and takes a look at your miles of road, your miles of sewer, takes a look at all your infrastructure and so forth, and curtails a pretty good financial analysis on your town. And we were approached by New Hampshire Housing, who got some funding to hire Urban 3. They did a statewide kind of just a 30,000 foot level last year, but they picked 4 communities and they asked us to participate. So I'll be participating in that, and that will also help inform that zoning amendment. So that's pretty exciting. The 4 communities that were participating are Exeter, Nashua, is the big city, Nashua, then kind of a medium-sized Rochester, one of the, decent city in New Hampshire, and then us, like a mid-sized town, decent-sized town, and they have a Claremont as kind of the more rural community. So they got a good cross-section of different, different types of municipalities. So I thought I'd mention that. That all folds into, goals of the master plan. It probably checks off a lot of boxes in the master plan. So we're starting that, and you'll hear more about it in the future.
Is the zoning amendment for a particular zone or a particular area of town, or is it?
No, it's townwide.
Just townwide?
Yeah. It's
Zoning
just
amendment.
kind of looking at it from a fiscal, environmental, social perspective, and saying, okay, this is the kind of land use that really, that is desirable from all those aspects.
Yeah.
And with data and analysis to show that. Because just like I've done the little spiel before, I'm sure, about development downtown, and every 50 foot of pavement, sidewalk, sewer line, water line, drain lines downtown have multi-millions of dollars worth of assessed value in front of it, participating for that infrastructure. When you get out in more rural areas, I mean, you got 500 feet of roadway and no assessed value on either side. So you still have to pay the same amount for that infrastructure to pave it and salt and sand it and so forth. So it kind of looks at land use in that from a fiscal perspective, but also environmental, social, impervious surface area. It all kind of intertwines. So that's kind of, we're looking at it from it would be townwide. We look at, okay, this is kind of what we'd like to see where, where development, if we absorb additional development, where does it make the most sense? And where it doesn't, and zone accordingly. So it wouldn't be, nothing will be left out. But got a long way, that's just kind of a preliminary, we'd have to go through you folks and the committees and various, and then, ultimately the voters. But
Good.
a lot more to come on that.
Great. So this urban 3 part really came in good time.
It does get, yes.
I mean, that was perfect timing.
Yeah.
Great.
I don't know their timeline, we just had kind of the discussion today about it, but it should, I expect it to be this year. So
Great.
that's all I have on that.
So I was going to say, we actually need to schedule our next meeting, the master plan oversight
Ready to go back
committee.
forward? Good.
Do you want to do that after the meeting?
Yeah.
All right, because that's one thing that I brought up at our last planning board meeting was actually a zoning issue as well, where as a planning board, we get plans that have already been vetted through generally the zoning board if necessary and received any variances that are required before they come to us. That's their process. And, if you look at what we've been receiving as a board, we've been receiving projects that have already been granted what I would consider significant variances to the existing zoning. And that's not our venue. Other than you're a citizen, you can go to the zoning board hearings. But by the time it comes to us, the variances have generally been done. And I think it's demonstrating to me that there's challenges with our existing zoning and what uses it allows and doesn't allow, particularly on the Epping Road corridor, where we're seeing multifamily desiring to be out there, the market pushing for multifamily out there, and our existing zoning does not allow it. So it's coming in through variances.
Okay. But isn't it also coming in because it's part of the TIF? I heard what you said at the zoning.
I'm not arguing whether we should have it or not. I'm saying the zoning doesn't allow it.
So it's coming in because it's allowed.
The zoning does not allow it. So we need to change the zoning. And we should be discussing changing the zoning. We're a planning board. If we run into issues with our zoning that are making variances or waivers consistently necessary, that are consistently being granted, as a planning board, we're responsible for zoning.
I understand
We should
that.
be trying to adjust it.
Yeah, we do it with some.
Just like
To
we did with
match
other
the TIF or no? That's where I'm trying to understand where you're coming from with this.
Yeah, the TIF.
The TIF has an expiration,
Yeah,
right?
but the TIF doesn't have anything to do with zone.
Okay, so why am I missing something? How am I missing something here? Because it seems like we're concerned about the housing that's being approved in the TIF, right? In the TIF zone?
No,
Okay, then that's where I'm misunderstanding you.
it's not allowed. It's not zoned for residential, period.
Has nothing to do.
Nothing to do with
Think of
TIF.
it-
It's
don't
zoning.
even think of it as in the TIF or not. It doesn't, that's irrelevant.
It's a zoning-
I believe
it's a
in this
zoning.
conversation.
No, it's not, I'm trying to understand
Yeah,
the
it's in
conversation.
C3 zoning district.
Okay,
I think Aaron's point is it's in the C3, right now residential is prohibited in the C3 zoning district.
so no matter
But
what
if
the
you go on
language
Abbey Road,
is,
You may not, you may not know that because there's been several hundred units approved via
Right.
variance to be there. But it's still not allowed by zone. It's prohibited.
So.
We need to think about whether it should be something else. Is that correct?
My point is, we
Okay.
are receiving as a planning board pretty substantial projects with pretty substantial residential components. The biggest ones that have been improved in my time on this board, in a zone that prohibits residential, which shows me there's a flaw in our zoning. And as a planning board, we're supposed to be addressing that, and I think we should be adjusting that to make accommodations or suggest accommodations for residential in that corridor by right, not only through the variance process.
Yeah.
Okay, I'm still, all right, I'll pick this up another time with just, I have to make sure I understand because
Yeah.
I can't, I know what you're saying, Aaron, and I
Now, you
absolutely
think I'm
agree.
against you for some reason, I don't get that, but
You what?
you seem like you think this is, I'm against.
No, I'm trying to understand where you're coming from. So I get the zoning part, but where I'm getting confused with this conversation is that that's part of the language in the TIF, and the TIF is on the Epping Road. And I get you telling me not to think of it from that perspective.
Yeah, you gotta get TIF out of your thinking.
Okay, well, to me, they go hand in hand, so it's how I am approaching this thought, not how you are. I'm
There
trying
is a
to,
connection, but in this case, it
the
doesn't-
connection doesn't exist in this part of the conversation, in this particular.
Yeah, the TIF's it's not our zoning, it's not a regulatory document.
Okay.
It doesn't lay out uses or not, what's prohibited, what's permitted. It did have one sentence in there about commercial and residential.
It had a few, yeah.
But the TIF spans residential zoning,
It's not our right to
commercial
do it.
zoning,
It's
so
down
within the TIF's
You know what I
pretty
mean?
big.
I don't know what they're saying.
That's, I'm trying to get the TIF.
Okay,
That TIF doesn't dictate what uses are allowed and not allowed.
it doesn't.
It does not.
So when we voted for that, we didn't vote for the language in it?
You voted for a tax incremental financing district, which basically is a polygon on a map and saying, okay, in this area, we are gonna make X improvements, like water, sewer expansion, widen roadways, whatever those public improvements are, and then we're gonna pay for them with the incremental taxes we get from the additional value. So if a property comes in and it's assessed at $1 million, and then there's a project that comes in and adds $2 million worth, becomes $2 million. That $1 million of taxable value gets taken off the top, put into this tax increment financing fund to fund the improvements you identified in the TIF plan. That's all it does.
Which were the goals?
What the uses are, what's permitted.
All right, I think we're gonna have to have a-
Controlled by zone.
okay,
But, well, look.
yeah, we will. Thank you.
Okay.
So let's say Horsley Witten comes back with a list of recommendations for our zoning code. What's the process? I know it has to go to town meeting at some point, but what's the
Correct.
process for the planning board to deliberate and?
As all the zoning amendments, it's just we come, I'd probably, like I'm telling you about it tonight, I'll give you more details as it gets more developed, keep you informed, then give you a draft, and then you would review it, you'd hold a public hearing on it, then you'd either recommend it, you're ultimately gonna recommend whether it goes on the warrant or not. the planning board. You need to say, okay, yes or no. So the first step is to do the work internally, the staff and so forth, and then come to the planning board, update the planning board, but then come to you when we have enough of a draft and a presentation, and you decide where it goes. So you can say, okay, we like this, or we don't like it, or whatever, review it, make changes to it, and then put something on the warrant if one or not.
Well, we can discuss as we're having discussion now.
But usually that happens in like September, October-ish.
Yep.
And you hold the public hearing in November, December.
Right.
So we got some time right now. I'm just telling you earlier, we got some time we're starting to work on it.
The important thing to me is that those discussions are held before town meeting, before deliberative session. So when you go to deliberative session, these have already been through the vetting process. And so the public says, huh, when did I have a chance to talk? See?
Right.
So the citizen has got to pay attention to what, or we've got to promote that these meetings are important because, same with CIP. You want to know where the money's going to go? Come on down in the middle of August and sit through a meeting or two and you'll get an idea of what it's all about.
Yeah, zoning amendments cannot be altered at deliberative.
No.
Deliberative.
No.
They're
They're
going
there.
on the warrant
Yeah.
as is, they cannot be debated.
they're cast in
They're
stone.
not even, they can be debated, I guess, but just,
But that's a yes or no, that debate.
well, they can be debated.
Yes.
People
Well,
can debate it
but-
just to say their piece if they want.
But they can't be changed.
Correct.
No.
All right, so that's a yes or no. That's what I'm using the word yes or no.
Yeah.
Yes, correct.
At that point, you're voting yes or no.
Yeah, if it's gotten that far.
Well, deliberative session, they don't vote on the zoning. They usually just move them right to the end.
Yeah.
They'll skip the first 4 or 5 articles and go right to number 6 and start there, yeah.
Yeah, so I guess my point, I just wanted to finish that, is just there's definitely a flaw in our zoning right now and in our process. And I think it's incumbent upon us as a planning board to recognize that, number one, to understand it and discuss it and try to address it. Because just like when we see a lot of waivers coming in on, different issues that we've been cleaning up over the years, it really makes it easier for applicants. It makes it easier for us as a board. It makes it easier for the town staff. And I am in the industry, and when you have a flaw like this that affects real estate, it can really affect interpretation of value. And an example of that would be, there's been projects approved on Epping Road that, as a real estate broker, I've been in this since 1996, I would not have assumed would have any chance of getting approved and built. So if a property owner had come to me and asked me, what can I do with my land? I would never have in a million years imagined some of the things that have gotten through because of what the zoning says. Prohibited use is residential. Now, I think we need it. We clearly need units in the town. We clearly need units in the county. And it seems to be a good place for mixed-use projects for certain. The amenities are there now, water, sewer, good highway system, good egress, and projects are being designed that look like they're being very successful. So our zoning, I think, is lagging. We, as a board, need to try to figure that out. So I wanted to bring that forward to us as a whole board, and we'll probably be discussing it at the Master Plan Oversight Committee, it sounds like, with other zoning issues, too. And you guys are all welcome to that. Those are public meetings also.
Are they televised?
No.
Yeah, I can't get their work sessions. I can't.
It's early.
I know, I can't always get to them. So Dave, this project that you have going on, that you're approaching, would that go hand in hand with what Mr. Brown is talking about in some ways, or no?
Yeah, it's
Hard to
looking
say
at
until we
it's
get it.
town-wide, so
Yeah.
we're gonna look at all the corridors and see what, what's there, what the infrastructure that exists, what can be supportive, what makes sense.
Can you just call adjournment again?
No.
No.
Oh, okay, because I just heard Nancy say, is this televised? And I didn't
I was just
know.
talking about other meetings.
It's a work session that they
So
do.
yes, the short answer is
I
yes.
know you're listening
I know
to
he's
me.
watching the show.
Okay.
Are we still online?
Thank you, I know you listen to me. That's appreciated.
That's funny. You see a little panic in his eye?
Did I miss the gavel?
Okay.
good.
Any field modifications?
None requested.
Okay. Anybody want some money back?
Nope, not yet.
Yes.
Yes.
I'm
Not
waiting
yet.
your turn.
Not yet.
No, no one's
Okay.
asked yet. There's money, we're holding some, but nobody's asked for it back yet.
Anybody else have anything for the good of the order?
Yeah, so if you wouldn't mind me taking just a few minutes to remind everyone, we have a forum coming up. We've moved it a few times because of the COVID numbers, but it is, keep your fingers crossed, happening on Friday, May 6th from 9 to 11 at the Town Hall.
Oh, yeah.
Yes, it was invite only, but that's changed because the numbers seem to be coming down. And it's a regional conversation on housing and tackling the issue. So hold on, because I had to screenshot because I forgot my flyer. The agenda is going to have our Economic Development Director speaking.
Yep.
He's invited Commissioner Caswell. I don't have, and then painting a picture is going to be done by Sarah Reitzman, who is from New Hampshire Housing. There'll be some data handed out. Rockingham Planning Commission will be talking about the regional housing needs assessment and the surveys that they're doing. Sarah, I'm going to try to pronounce her last name, Tatarzuzik. I didn't say it right, but anyway, I'll get better with that one. They're doing an incredible job with updating their housing assessments needs. The surveys, their targeted audience, and then Matt Burke will be talking to us about why housing matters to our local businesses. Because, hold on, keep taking my glasses off. And Dave Sharples is going to talk about MUND, the Exeter's MUND. Chris Parker from Dover, is he the planner?
He is.
Thank you. I couldn't remember.
Oh, he's not anymore?
I think he's the Assistant City Manager of Strategic Initiatives.
Well, I wouldn't even have remembered that title, so thank you very much.
He's a good guy.
Carpet on the floor and the title on the door.
And then we're going to have a Q&A panel with Eric Chinberg, Chris Parker, and Sarah Reitzman. And it's just to have a conversation that followed up with the 6 months of meeting with our Exeter businesses, various businesses, and about how hiring and housing, the issues that they're having with hiring, and they feel that part of it is affordable housing, so.
That's all in 2 hours?
Yeah. Everyone is timed, yes. It's the first one, so it's really just we're trying to have conversations, learn from the conversations, take it the next step, evaluate the next step, and see where we want to go. So we're trying very hard to approach this with a kind of an open-minded, learn as we go thing. And at some point, we're hoping to get another roundtable. We tried to have one here one day with Stratham and Hampton and Northampton and Kensington and things like that, just to talk to our neighbors about the issue and see if they feel they're having the same issues we are. We want our economic development to grow, and we need places for people to live, so.
Is it going to be recorded?
It is. Thank you.
So the date
Exeter
is?
TV, Friday,
May 9th.
May
5.
May 6th from 9 to 11 at the town hall.
Yep, okay. I think I got that on my calendar. Well, thank you.
Thank you.
Is anybody interested in
I have an announcement.
Okay, announcement. Last call.
Yeah.
May 6th.
May 6th.
May 6th.
Well, now I'm competing with the forum. I have a public forum on May 4th on the Public Safety Complex at 6 p.m. at the Town Hall. May 4th, 6 p.m. at the Town Hall. We're doing a presentation. We did one at the Facilities Advisory Committee, but I'm sure you're all aware the town voted in to do an analysis of the public safety complex to see what is needed and what, the possible options are. We hired LaValle Brenzing, our architects. They've been working diligently since the fall with myself, the fire chief, police chief, and others, and town staff, town manager. And we're ready to roll out some options to the public and hopefully provide some input on those options. So we're looking for public input. Light refreshments will be served 6 p.m. May 4th, Town Hall, to discuss the presentation of the new public safety complex and provide your input. So,
Thank you.
Important.
Anyone interested? Hope to see you there.
Yep. See what the calendar says. Well, John, you ready to make a motion?
Sure, I'll motion to adjourn.
Okay.
Second.
I'm moving second. Motion carries.
Thank you for tuning in to Exeter TV. Exeter TV is the town's public and government access channels, available on Comcast channels 98 and 22. Channel 98 is your channel. If you have an idea for a program, want to host your own talk show, or submit a film, we're here to get your content on television. On Channel 22, we bring you live and replay coverage of government meetings and other town updates. A third channel, Blue Hawk Media, is operated by SAU 16 and can be found on Channel 13, with all your school sports, events, and meetings. You can watch Exeter TV online at exeternh.tv, Apple TV, and on Roku. Find us on social media for extra content. Subscribe to our YouTube channel and hit the bell to get notified about live streams and new content. Tune in to our platforms every other Friday to watch the Exeter Biweekly Report, with recaps of recent events, updates from town departments, and messages from nonprofits in your area. If you head to our website, exeternh.tv, we invite you to sign up to our newsletter to receive monthly updates about new content, upcoming meetings, and more. We'd like to thank you for taking the time to watch Exeter TV and hope that you tune in to our other content as well.